Hey, dude. So keep your phone's been rolling to voicemail. Are you free to talk now? All right. So Brian's gonna call you and put you on hold. Okay. So just stand by. All right. Fun times. Franz talks.
You should do it when it's live.
Is it live?
No, I'm saying.
So you need to. I literally just talked to him.
I heard, and then I waited until you hung up and
So you
no,
need.
I'm saying the interview that you can't connect with. It's a lot more fun when it's live on the radio.
Yeah. So you need to edit the FR part of that.
We'll do. Yep. Talking some great. Yes. Hey, Will, hang tight for me 1 second. Coming your way in a second. All right.
Yeah, I can't imagine how frustrating that would be.
It happens. It happens on a rather regular basis. What did I F up?
I'm sorry. One more time.
What did I F up? Oh, you got a capital R.
Yeah.
I really wanted to emphasize.
I appreciate that. Are we live to where I can talk or is my mic off?
No, your mic is
Hey,
on.
hey Facebook world. How are you? Let me turn my volume down so I can view what you guys are saying and doing, and the only way I can look at the comments at the same time is if I. All right, Brian Haldane's watching. How about that?
I'm not just watching, I'm editing.
You are. So Facebook, we've got a great show lined up today. We're doing art and cultural economy. I'm not really sure what cultural economy is, but I'm hoping to learn that by the end of the episode.
You ready to be cranking?
Yep.
All right, stand by.
I'm pressing start on my timer as soon as you hit the music. So that's how I keep track of the time, but I'm still your master, so.
What the crap? Hang on. What am I hearing? Why is it recording two things? Something's out of place.
That's okay. We'll start over. Hey, Fairleigh Jackson.
Now stand by.
Hey, Michelle Forbes. Sure.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Geaux Rouge radio show. This is your host, Franz Borkhardt. To those listening in Facebook world or to those listening on Talk 107.3, good morning. I hope you're doing well. I hope this COVID crisis is getting better for you. We've got a show today devoted and oriented towards art and culture, and more specifically, cultural economy. Master Controls today is Brian Haldane. Brian, I hope you're doing well as well.
Always.
Always glad to be sharing this space with you. Man, soon we're going to be in a position, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next month, but soon we're going to have the opportunity to have guests back in studio, and I'm very excited about that. In the meantime, you'll notice that we're calling guests, which is the world we're living in right now. And so it's better. What I've been telling folks is it's better than nothing. And in fact, it's sometimes a little bit better for the guests because I think it's easier for them in terms of the stress of being on the radio to just use their phone. So before we jump into our guest today, though, let's talk about who sponsors the Geaux Rouge show. We are able to do this wonderful show based on the support of our local sponsors. First, the Smith Shanklin Sosa Law Firm. Great personal injury firm, also a perfect firm for you to get information on business interruption claims. The Smith Shanklin Sosa Law Firm is a great supporter of Geaux Rouge. Breck and Breck Parks is the sponsor. Louisiana Tech Park. Sullivan's Steakhouse, your neighborhood steakhouse, and the Borkart Law Firm. So those are the sponsors. Happy to have them continuing to support us during this COVID-19 crisis. Without their generosity, we wouldn't be able to have a show. So our guest today, we have Will Barrios from Tatro Toys. He is a wonderful individual that makes hand-built magnetic toys, Brian. And he is doing a summer series that he's going to talk to us about. Then we have Fairleigh Jackson, from the executive director of Preserve, Louisiana. In our second segment, we're going to have the awesome Ann Connelly. And then we're going to have Garland Wilson from Moving Colors Production. So it's going to be kind of an all art and culture episode today. So let's kick things off with Will. Hey, Will, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Man, I am so happy to finally get you on the radio. We've flirted with having you as a guest before on the show. We've done some Facebook Live stuff.
Yes.
Welcome to the Geaux Rouge show.
Thank you so much.
I was just telling the listeners that you are spearheading a awesome hand-built magnetic toy company, Tatro Toys. We love it. It's a household name in my house. My child loves it. My niece loves it. Tell us a little bit. You've got a summer series coming up, and I wanted to get you on to talk a little bit about that. And you've been very active during COVID-19 and doing stuff to give back to the community. So tell us a little bit about this summer series.
Yeah, so the entire mission of the company is expression through imagination. So whatever we can do to meet that mission, that's what's important to us. So we looked at the pandemic. We looked at a lot of things that were going on with stay-at-home orders and with the parents and kids really looking for something creative to do. So we created a couple of pickup series in partnership with Mestizo, and those were very successful. And so now we've done a summer series, which is going to start May 30th, again at Mestizo's from 2 to 4 p.m., and then it's going to run every other Saturday through January 25th. And what that includes are going to be $5 arts and crafts bags. There's going to be a whole creative assortment of ways that kids can go home and play.
So okay. Let's say I pay the $5 and I buy this arts and crafts bag.
Yep.
What might I expect to see in this bag?
So lots of stuff. So it could be anything from chalks, construction paper, to cardstock, to little craft pom-poms, to popsicle stick, to anything you can imagine that might be something creative that you may not exactly have at home, but that we can provide to you. That's what we're going to include in there.
So one of the things I love about Tatro Toys is, in addition to the fact that it's just really cool toys, it encourages creativity. It encourages the use of imagination. And more to the point, interaction with your family, right? So
absolutely.
So you can sit down with your child and do interactive things. It's not just your child playing with the toy, so to speak. So
absolutely.
$5 for a bag. And I guess my question is, if they want to get more information about this summer series, where will they go, Will?
Yeah, so 2 places. So our website, Tatrotoy, TATROTOY.com/summer. And then on our social media, Facebook.com/TatroToy.
Awesome. Well, look, man, thank you for joining us. Anything else we need to know about Tatro that's going on right now?
We're just a local business supporting a local community, and we're just happy to be here. So thank you so much.
No, that's no problem, man. Thank you for continuing to do the cool stuff, the very cool, unique stuff that you're doing. And Will, I have no doubt that we're going to have you back on. So God bless, be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Ron.
Brian, I got to tell you, man, you've got to get some of this Tatro toy stuff. The $5 bag, the summer series, is going to be a good thing. You know what I may do? I may pony up some $5 so that Fisher can have some of this, and then also get a $5 bag for your little Rugrat. His toys are very cool. They're very creative, and this guy's been giving back to the community. So definitely something worth checking out. Our next guest for the Geaux Rouge show is going to be Miss Fairleigh Jackson, the executive director at Preserve, Louisiana. Miss Jackson, how are you doing?
Hey, Franz, I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. So, you're responsible for this episode. I had reached out to Fairleigh and said, hey, look, I'm looking to do something with art. I'm not an art guy, but I want to do something that talks a little bit about art and culture. And you came up with the brilliant idea to have what we're about to have. You are the executive director at Preserve Louisiana, and the mission of Preserve Louisiana is to promote the preservation of our state's cultural and architectural heritage through education, advocacy, and stewardship. And that's kind of where I want to start. What's it been like working as executive director of Preserve Louisiana with all the craziness that we have going on right now?
Well, it's been very different.
Yes.
As you can tell by our mission, we have a lot of shoes to fill. Our cultural and architectural landscape is pretty much as rich as you can get here in Louisiana.
Sure.
And, I think culture kind of relies on that social aspect. And so as we're having to be physically distant, it creates a great challenge for us to connect people through culture. So we're having to approach it in a different way.
So how are you, that leads me to a wonderful question of how are you guys adjusting and approaching sharing culture right now with Preserve Louisiana based on our inability to be around each other, and based on our inability. I mean, we're in phase 1 right now. So it's not like we can't go out of the house and do stuff. We're allowed to do that. We're wearing masks. We're being encouraged to stay away from each other. So how are you guys adjusting to share the culture, share the art, share the heritage while honoring what we have going on right now?
Yeah, so we were actually pretty fortunate. We've had an online virtual tour for 3 years now. So when we had guests come to the mansion, they could choose to do a docent-led tour or a tour on their handheld device.
Oh, cool.
So we were lucky, yes. So we were lucky to already have that in place. So our wonderful Director of Education, Christina Lake, has been working diligently to keep that tour relevant, up to date, adding things weekly such as quizzes and badges, adding content related to our current exhibition, which is about the First Ladies of the old Governor's Mansion,
sure,
and things like that. So we've been pushing that out to our guests prior to this Phase 1 opening. As of today, the mansion is open for tours, with the requirement of face coverings and physical distancing and things like that. So we're hoping that our community will come out, come visit the mansion, bring your family. We'll do it in a safe way and really kind of explore Louisiana history and culture on our premise. But again, if you're not quite okay with that yet, we encourage people to do our virtual tour. And then as far as go ahead.
No, that's okay. No, you're cruising. So let me ask 2 follow-up questions to that.
Sure.
If I want to do the in-person tour and I was savoring and enjoying the tour, about how much time does it generally take to do the tour and how much time should I budget? And then the second question is the virtual tour. Let's say I just don't feel ready to go out there and go to a museum and get my culture that way. How might I engage in that virtual tour remotely?
Sure. So for your first question, if you would like a docent-led tour, we encourage people to call us at 225-387-2464 just to ensure that we have a docent available. We are trying to protect our docents as well. We have a limited docent pool. So those tours can range anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. We really leave that up to our guests. How much time do you have? How in-depth do you want us to go? And then as far as a virtual tour, you can do that kind of at your own pace. You can, click on every link, every image, explore every room to its max capacity, or you can, choose to skip certain things and go at a different pace. So it really is designed by the user and the visitor and kind of at their own pace. And to access that virtual tour, you would go to our website. Yeah, www.preserve-louisiana.org. And this is free for our members and a nominal fee of $5 for non-members. And we are encouraging everyone to join and become a member.
How much is the membership?
You can have access for this. We start at $50.
So if you do 50, it's free, and I can do it as much as I want. And
exactly, it's unlimited for a year.
So while we're talking about the virtual tour, let's say I didn't know anything about Preserve Louisiana. Mm-hmm. I mean, I looked up the mission online. I regurgitated the mission to you, which showed you I put effort into this. But let's say there were some, let's say there are certain things that are like the crown jewel exhibits of your tour. What are some of those things? What are the big draws?
Well, I'd say that exploring the history of the governors that lived there and their legacies for Louisiana is probably our biggest draw on a consistent basis.
Sure.
Then we do rotating exhibitions. So currently we have the first ladies of the mansion, which is really great to explore their roles, not just as first ladies, but their contributions to Louisiana in general. So that's kind of something fun that's temporary. And then I'd say beyond our virtual tours, we offer monthly lectures, and obviously we've had to take a short break from those, but we're excited to go back online in June. And June 11th, we'll have Jason Church, who is with a national entity of the National Park Service, and his work has focused on 3D mapping of previous slave dwellings and tenant cabins and things like that. Yeah, so, we explore all things Louisiana history, art, culture, architecture. And so as we move towards a more virtual presence, we will be having our lectures in person.
Okay.
And doing that, with physical distancing and responsibly. But we will also be offering those online, and that's a member benefit as well.
So we've got about 10 minutes with Fairleigh from Preserve Louisiana. I want to change gears a little bit, and we can come back to Preserve Louisiana. But I want to change gears because in addition to being a part of Preserve Louisiana, and in fact being the executive director, you do other things in Louisiana and locally with regard to the art scene. You serve on some boards. What else do you do? Tell me a little bit more about Miss Jackson.
Okay. Well, and it's interesting because it's very relevant, I think, to this time, is I'm a board member for Louisiana Citizens for Culture.
Okay.
And this was previously an entity called Louisiana Citizens for the Arts. Well, a few years ago, we went through a restructuring where we really wanted to recognize that Louisiana arts and culture is not just arts, and that it marries all of these things: historic preservation, visual arts, performance art, archaeology, all of those things. So we broadened our mission there. So the first week of the stay-at-home order, my colleague Matt Henry from Central Louisiana and I would have been in Washington, D.C. doing advocacy work for Americans for the Arts.
Okay.
So, that put a little damper on advocacy efforts for the arts. Now, luckily, the arts have been included in some of these CARES packages, and we're seeing funders such as the National Endowment for the Arts and the National Endowment for Humanities shift their funding focus to really be available to all arts and humanities organizations. So that's been a really interesting thing to watch. On the local level, I'm part of a group that we have weekly calls on Monday, and this is all of our museum entities. And I'm going to try to list them all, but I don't want to forget anybody. But it's us, the Old State Capitol, Capitol Park Museum, LSU Museum of Art, the USS Kidd, Baton Rouge Gallery, Magnolia Mound, and the Rural Life Museum, and the Louisiana Art and Science Museum. So we're trying to really come together collectively, just to share policy and, ideas moving forward, but then to work on collaboration. So like one thing we were talking about on our call yesterday, where we also included Visit Baton Rouge, was doing some kind of passport reciprocal program where, like Franz, you and Shannon could take Fisher to the old governor's mansion, and then you get a stamp in your passport, and then you go see Rodnina at Capitol Park Museum and get a stamp there, and then you could enter to win a prize.
I like it. Like a little scavenger hunt.
Exactly.
So I was telling you probably know who Chris Cummings is. He owns a company that's working on establishing virtual tours and platforms for art museums and other things. And I was telling him at La Divina earlier this week that one of the best experiences I've ever had in Baton Rouge, Fairleigh, is I did a tour of the Walls Project murals as a family. And basically
it's wonderful.
we basically went to different scenes in Baton Rouge. We got out of the car. Fisher got to look at some of these cool murals. And it was just, I love the idea of a passport. I really, really, really like that idea. And look, we have so much. What I hate is when people sometimes say, hey, there's nothing to do in Baton Rouge. And I look at them and I'm like, you have no clue. Like, we've got a lot of stuff going on from an arts and culture standpoint. And I get it. We're in a pandemic right now to where it's not, you can't enjoy it to the fullest. But I mean, look, you could spend a lot of time in the different museums we have here and enjoy everything they have to offer. But that leads me to another question is other museums, since you probably have your finger on the pulse of that more than I do, I know that Louisiana Arts and Science Museum is opening back up. What's kind of from your vantage point doing what you do, what's kind of the vibe with the museums in terms of opening and being able to tour these places? Are we not there yet, or is it slow and steady?
Well, initially under the governor's plan, we weren't included in phase 1. We weren't included until phase 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to thank Lieutenant Governor Nungesser for this because I think he's the one that really implemented a change there and got us into phase 1. Obviously, the museum experience is something that can be very individual and that kind of naturally becomes a physically distant experience.
Right.
So I think that was recognized. So most of us are opening, Capitol Park and the Louisiana State Museum System, which I'm honored to serve on the board of. They opened on Saturday.
Okay.
We opened today. I believe the LSU Museum of Art opens tomorrow, and I believe the USS Kidd is open as well. I would encourage your listeners to go to the individual websites. But I can say that all of these discussions have been around the safety of our visitors,
right,
and trying to maximize their experience. Now, Peter, with the Knock Knock Museum, they were particularly put in phase 3 as a children's museum.
right.
So that will be a delayed opening.
Sure.
And I guess we'll just have to stay tuned for that. But I know Peter and his staff have been working diligently to put things into place. They already were, so on top of creating a safe space for all the children and families that go there. So we're seeing, we're getting back into the groove. We're hoping that this will actually be a good thing for us, that parents and families are looking for something different to do, and that this might also mean an increase in admissions and visitors. So we're hoping that everybody just wants to get out and experience Baton Rouge.
So we've got about a minute left with you. I agree. I think this is the time to discover parts of our city culturally, artistically, that you never saw before. Maybe you haven't visited in a while. In our remaining minute, I know you said check out the individual websites, but let's say I was clueless, and I lived most of my life clueless, Fairleigh. Let's say I was clueless and I just didn't know what opportunities there were in Baton Rouge. Would I go to the State Museum website, or what would be a good place? I mean, without flashing me a Google Louisiana or Baton Rouge Museum emoji, where would you start in the remaining 30 seconds?
Right. So, no, the Louisiana State Museum System will really only list the one local museum that's here in Baton Rouge, which is Capitol Park, right there by the Capitol.
Sure.
If you wanted more information on a regional level, I would go to Visit Baton Rouge's website.
Sure.
And actually, they have a wonderful brochure that lists all of their museums. And on our call yesterday, we talked about turning this brochure into something that is accessible by a QR code.
Sure.
And adding a map. And so if you were to go to, say, one of our entities, then you can scan or go to their website and see where else you can go within walking distance. So I would go to Visit Baton Rouge's website. The Downtown Development District has all of us located within their jurisdiction on their website as well. Well,
thank you for joining us today, Fairleigh, and candidly, thank you for being a supporter of myself and the Geaux Rouge show. Fairleigh Jackson, Executive Director of Preserve Louisiana. If you haven't checked out their website, you really need to do that. They've got some cool stuff going on. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
And thank you for everything you're doing, Franz. We appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right. So in our remaining time, if you want to check out more information about Geaux Rouge, go to www.gauxrouge.com. We also have a Geaux Rouge YouTube channel, as well as we're on social media. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take our first break and then be back for our second segment of episode 28 of the Geaux Rouge Show. Hey, Facebook Live. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We got the famous Ann Connelly and my favorite of Moving Colors Productions sister, Garland Wilson, joining us in the second segment. Man, I really want to get to some museums. I need to get some culture in me. I need to get some art in me. I occasionally get to hit the Baton Rouge Gallery. I serve on their board, but I have not been to the Preserve Louisiana tour, and I'm going to be joining. Fairleigh, if you're still listening, I'm going to be joining, and I'm going to be touring because it just sounds awesome. Meanwhile, I'm watching Brian Haldane eat a delicious-looking salad, and I'm salivating. Fresh Drunkie.
Yeah, Brick House from Fresh Junkie. It's been literally 7 weeks since I've had one. 8 weeks since I've had one.
Dude,
and people have kicked smoking as a habit in less time than that, and I was just fiending for it.
Look, his salads are good. He makes a good salad. It's a good salad.
I think good might be an understatement for the Brick House. The Brick House is it's an exception to every salad rule out there. It's fantastic.
You going to let me listen to the music? So, or are you just going to point to me?
I was going to get your next guest on the phone.
Sure. So meanwhile, Facebook, if you're listening, I need your help. As smart and savvy as I am about coming up with show topics, I could use a little bit of help. If you have an idea for a show topic, please email me at info@gauxrouge.com. info@gauxrouge.com. I really would appreciate it. Next week, we are flirting with the idea of having Cashew Creative on, as well as Kevin from Go Yaya Crepes, talking about small businesses, talking about some marketing topics. But I would love to have your assistance, info@gauxrouge.com. I would love to have your assistance coming up with show topics. It gets to the point. Now, look, I'm not like Jada Cody. I don't have to find an episode every day. I've only got one a week. But I got to tell you, one a week is tough. I don't know how you guys, and Brian, I'm lumping you in this. I don't know how you guys come up with content every single day, 5 days a week. That's a lot. That's heavy lifting.
Why, thank you.
That's heavy lifting. And that shout out to Jay too. I mean, I'm giving credit where credit's due. Yes, Chuck P's in the studio too. Shout out to Chuck P. Love you, Chuck.
Just let me know when you're ready to roll.
I'm ready to roll, man.
All right. Stand by.
All right, welcome back to the second segment of the Geaux Rouge radio show. To the folks listening out in Facebook world, or the folks listening on Talk 107.3, welcome back. Glad to have you here. For more information on the Geaux Rouge show, you want to go to www.gauxrouge.com. And if you have show topics that you would like to see me explore, email us at info@gauxrouge.com. The Geaux Rouge show is brought to you by the following sponsors: Breck Parks, Louisiana Tech Park, Sullivan Steakhouse, your neighborhood steak house, the Borkart Law Firm, and Smith Shanklin Sosa Personal Injury Law Firm. That law firm, great personal injury attorneys, as well as your go-to persons for, or your go-to attorneys for business interruption claims, Smith Shanklin Sosa Law Firm. So in this half, we've got Ann Connelly and we've got Garland Wilson. We're doing an episode today, guys, on art, cultural economy, and what's going on during COVID-19. And for those who don't know, Ann has the Ann Connelly Fine Art, I guess, gallery. So let's start with her. Hey, Ann, what's going on?
Hi, Franz. Doing well. How are you?
I'm glad to hear you're doing well. I'm better than I deserve, Ann. So I like the fact, let me tell you, Ann, I like the fact that we have you and Garland in a segment together, because the first time I was ever at your fine establishment, it was actually an Of Moving Colors Productions event, charity event. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, it was an event that was themed around, what's that show? Stranger Things. So hopefully it was your gallery. I may be mistaken.
It was, Ron.
All right, thank God.
That was a fun event.
It really, really, really was. My family did a little bit of dancing for them, and it was great raising money for them. So how are things going? Let's start first with the gallery. How are things going with your gallery, Ann?
Things are going really well. I'd have to
Awesome.
say it's great to be creative.
It is a good time to be creative right now.
It's a good time to be creative. We always look at. I love the book A Whole New Mind by Daniel Pink, talking about going from agriculture into industrial into technology, and now we're in the creative age.
Sure.
Because we have to be creative to move forward, and we look to our amazing artists to help teach us the way by example a lot of times.
Yes.
So we're sitting in a good seat.
I'm glad to hear that. And I feel compelled. I got to tell you, Ann, I always start my conversations with people these days. I want to check in with them. I want to know how they're doing. And not the, hey, we're all not doing great kind of question, but more so like just genuinely checking in on how is this affecting you? How is this affecting your business? So I'm glad to hear that the gallery's doing okay. One of the reasons we have you as a guest today is you are working on a charity auction project. And I want to jump feet first into this. Okay. So what is it and how did you come up with this idea?
I love the way as creatives, we just work very organically. I mean, this has not been a great standstill for anyone, but
Sure.
We, as a team, got together and said, okay, how can we safely work together remotely? What can we learn that we haven't allowed ourselves to delve into? So we got into strengthening a digital platform, and what better way than to figure out how to give to our community and doing our part as community builders. And the way that it came about was an artist was working on a beautiful papier-mâché project of a vase, Winifred Ross Riley. And she brought a large white vase to us and said, how about if we auction this off and give it to a charity? And we had an artist in from Berlin that was here working in a gallery space. We have an annex space for visiting artists. And he said, I'll paint it. And that's where it started, again,
Okay.
with the generosity and example from our amazing artists. And we thought, let's work on immediate needs. We called our friends at St. Vincent de Paul and said, Michael, you'll be first. I mean, what's going on with you guys? And it's just been a really great experience. We moved from St. Vincent de Paul to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank and the 3 O'Clock Project that feeds school children, and
Right.
Tank Proof that's in Ascension Parish that started teaching children how to swim and now feeding a lot of kids in Ascension Parish, and then Rebuilding Together Baton Rouge that's focused on the elder population. But it's just been a win-win situation for us to connect with our artists, to touch base with everybody, and then to try our best to do our part with so many other amazing people in the community to help give back.
What I love about what's going on right now is, and it goes back to that creative component of what's going on, is that folks are trying to figure out how to give back. And I love the fact that artists are saying, you know what, the way we can give back is to donate this art so that it can be auctioned, so that they can raise some money for different causes. And I like the fact that, and Ann, candidly, I like the fact that you're spreading it across different charities. You know, so I guess my question is, if I wanted to get more information about future auctions or what's going on, first and foremost, where would I go? And
Sure.
What's on the horizon for you guys?
Sure. AnnConnelly.com.
AnnConnelly.com.
And we have a link that is a charity auction link that
Okay.
goes through May. Now, we feel compelled to go into nonprofits that we believe our cultural entities that are the soul of our cities.
Sure.
We all know that with Gallup polls and all kinds of polls that are done, that our cultural economy brings so much vibrance to the city. So we wanted to start with immediate needs. Then we want to move into our cultural institutions that need help as well. So that's what we're going to roll into in May, and
Awesome.
we hope to be able to touch a lot of folks out there.
So when you say cultural economy, because Fairleigh Jackson was the first one to use that phrase with me, and I was not that I'm not an artist. I'm a criminal defense attorney by day, and I occasionally do radio shows. So I hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about artists and what they're going through right now. And and not to get spiritual or anything, but by giving we receive. So I just really like this charity initiative, and I like the fact that you guys are going to change gears a little bit and work towards the cultural component of our community. I guess my question is, and again, I'm asking questions I kind of already know the answers to, but I want the listeners to know, how are you able to organize these artists? Were these artists that were already in your gallery, or were these artists that you strategically kind of reached out to, or did they find you?
No, these are artists that we have relationships with through our gallery.
Wonderful.
And we have relationships with multiple artists because we do a lot of commercial projects.
Sure.
And so we reach out through artist calls, so we have a lot of connections this way. But the ones that came to us and said, we understand that you're doing this and we want to be a part of this, please include us in this,
Sure.
in this auction. That's just the mindset of artists. They're known to be the most generous.
Yeah. So, okay. So again, AnnConnelly.com. You guys are doing this through May. Is there a possibility that you may extend it past May?
We are,
Okay,
but
good.
we're back to trying to be viable. Of
Okay.
course, like other people, we've had a little bit of time, and so we've delved into this. But now we're going to change our platform, change
Sure.
our format, and rather than going through an auction, we'll do something on Instagram, and that Instagram tag is Ann Connelly Fine Art. But we will continue with things that we own that we'll sell, and then 100% of the proceeds will continue to go to cultural institutions.
So, Ann, we have about 30 seconds left. Anything else we need to know about before we say goodbye for you today?
I really appreciate the efforts that you're making, Franz,
Thank you, Ann.
to reach out this way and to highlight our cultural warriors.
So, Ann, I've been a big fan of yours for quite some time, and while I've never met you in person, I am glad at least I've been able to connect with you this way. And any thanks I get really deserves to go back to you, because you are doing something truly amazing, and it's helping organizations. It's helping the artists by helping them kind of feed the spiritual side of that. So, Ann, thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Franz.
All right. Ann Connelly. She's kind of a big deal. Ann Connelly's kind of a big deal. I'm a fan. I mean, it's not like me having Shaq on the air, but it's, by the way, squad goals. I want to get Shaquille O'Neal on the Geaux Rouge radio show.
Did you see Shaq DJ the graduation party last weekend?
I did.
Oh, a lot of dubstep. But it was solid.
I'm scheming.
Oh.
I'm going to get Shaq on this show.
All right.
So our last guest, back to the Geaux Rouge show. Our last guest today, Garland Wilson of Moving Colors Productions. Hey, Garland.
Hello, Franz. How are you?
I miss you. I haven't seen you in a while. You doing all right?
I'm doing all right.
So, Garland, you are with a performing group, and I say performing because it's kind of an understatement, right? You're with a group called Of Moving Colors Productions. What is Of Moving Colors Productions?
We are a contemporary dance theater organization, a dance company that's been in Baton Rouge for over 30 years.
Sure. And I want to talk first about you guys and how you guys have been adjusting to what's going on, because, I mean, under normal conditions, you guys have performances throughout the year, right? You have seasonal performances. You raise, like any good charity nonprofit, you raise money to support the arts. And with everything that's going on, obviously there's been some kind of adjustment for you guys. How have you guys been dealing with that or adjusting?
Well, everything happened so fast.
Right.
I remember, if I can tell a short little story about how
Sister,
how
this
things
is your
went-
radio show.
how things went so quickly. We were preparing for our spring gala, which is a major fundraiser for many of the arts organizations across the country. And it was a Thursday evening. We met and decided that we needed to shift gears a little bit. And we began creating some material that we were going to use as a foundation for a piece that we would put online. So we said, things are happening rapidly. Why don't we create a piece of about us when we're together, and then we'll continue that piece online
Sure.
when we're separated. So that was on Thursday. We had spoken to actually the Dunham Theater, and we were going to record and film that segment on Tuesday. And then by the time Sunday came, we said, well, we might need to film today. We think that it's going to everything's going to shut down before Tuesday. And lo and behold, we ended up filming with two people on an afternoon before everyone separated. It just happened so rapidly. So immediately, once we as staff, and there's four of us, it's a small staff.
Right.
Once we decided to come together, of which we embraced Zoom and FaceTime immediately, we knew that it was our responsibility to create a digital platform, not only for the community, but to continue to keep the artists and our stakeholders together. And so we did. We launched about 10 digital programs that we've been investigating and working and having fun with and performing online with. And so those 10 programs really propelled us forward into creating our digital voice for Baton Rouge.
So what we're talking about is virtual performances, right? We're talking about seeing you guys perform in a way that we don't normally do, right? It's almost like the Zoom culture, right?
Well, not just performances. You know, the community of dancers, which includes families like yours, has always been more than just watching performances.
Right.
So some of our, actually, we should get your family to get going again. We have a couple of activities that we will be sending across the world. So
Wonderful.
some of those are for dancers, some of them are not. So one of my favorite choreographers in Belgium, Anna Teresa de Kersmacher, she has taught some of her choreography to people all over the world, and we're creating a collage of people doing some of her, it's very simple choreography, sitting and standing in a chair. And so we're a part of Rosa's, that's her company, we're a part of Rosa's activity that's going across the world. Or we have private training for those that can't get out of their house and yet they don't want to really Zoom with 50 people. So those are examples of things that are not just for dancers and they're not performances.
So I need to say something, and I don't
that you're going to take our private ballet class.
Well, we're not there yet. Let me ease into that. But I got to say, and I told this to Zero when he was on the radio show. My first performance that I attended for you guys was The Tempest, and in fact, Chancellor was I want to say narrator of the performance. And when I tell you, and look, in another life, I have a degree in Renaissance drama, and I was going to be a professor in another life of Renaissance drama. And it was a wonderful performance, but it was more so I got a lot out of that performance as an attendee. And I got to tell you, I want more.
Was that The Tempest?
Yes.
Was that The Tempest with the Baton Rouge Symphony?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, so
Zero brilliantly created poetry as the voice of the island.
Yes.
It's probably relevant today.
Yes. And that's what I was thinking about this morning when I was prepping for this conversation. So look, if I wanted to get more information about Moving Colors Productions, where would I go? And then I want you to talk to me about what's on the horizon. How can I continue to enjoy you guys?
Well, we are definitely on Instagram.
Wonderful.
And then our website, www.ofmovingcolors.org, has many different portals to our different programs. Whether you're a child or a parent and you want your children to take classes on Zoom, whether you want to participate in some of the creative outlets that we have, or whether you just want to get together with other dancers during this time, our website is a great, wonderful selection of resources for people that are out there.
And if I wanted to support you guys right now, how is the best way I could do that?
You may give your $1 million to. Don't we wish we had it? You know, the things are going very well creatively, but it is important when we have a public opportunity to acknowledge the fact that dance companies across the world are devastated and arts organizations are devastated, and support, even if we're not a hospital or a school, support for keeping communities colorful and creative is desperately needed. So if you would like to give a donation, you can also go to our website, and there is a section called support. And you can give directly, or you can choose something that interests you. You could give to children or to guest artists coming into the city. There are many ways to give as well.
So I was telling Fairleigh Jackson recently that you guys, as performing artists, you guys as art and cultural folks, you're in a tough spot because you don't want to come across as tone deaf to what's going on by asking people to support you, but you need support. You need support because candidly, that's how you exist, right? And so what I've been telling folks, and what I told Fairleigh, Garland, was, look, as much as you can give to frontliners and first responders, the heart and soul of our community needs TLC too. And I tell people, like, look, if you want to give to the arts, if you want to give to a Moving Colors Productions, give what you can give. If now's not a good time, when it is a good time, give. I love you guys. I'm glad that you guys are doing everything you're doing.
Thank you.
So, okay, before I let you go, Garland, anything else we need to chat about that's on tap, that's on deck, that we need to know about and the listeners need to know about?
I think the main thing I would like to close out with is to keep looking, keep watching, keep moving, keep participating. Whether people are comfortable being in their home, whether you're going out to the governor's mansion, do a stretch, do a dance, enjoy the beautiful spring that we've had. The arts are part of the fabric of our city, and I love this illustration, especially on the radio, because I think everyone can draw an image of a woman's pantyhose in the war when they were rationed and they started drawing eyeliner up the back of their legs. When a piece of nylon has a hole in it, it doesn't matter if that hole is from a restaurant or from the arts. There's still a hole. It's still ruined, and so we need to keep the fabric of our city connected. And I think that the arts are a part of that. Keep our fabrics connected. Support your local restaurants, your local arts organizations, and, of course, your local hospitals and your local medical workers. Absolutely.
I think it's fair to say that the human spirit hungers for art and culture. Yeah. It's one of the founding principles of convalescence is that the soul is hungry for that kind of stuff.
I'll close with that.
Yeah.
I believe that artists bridge the gap from chaos to beauty.
Love it.
And we need that beauty in our time for now.
Well, I appreciate you taking your busy time to come on the show. You will definitely be welcome back whenever you want, Garland.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garland from Moving Colors Productions. Have a great and safe day, Garland.
Thank you, Faran. Thank you for having us.
Not a problem. So we got a little bit of time left. Let's talk shop. So Geaux Rouge, if you want more information about Geaux Rouge and the radio show or anything crazy that I'm doing, go to www.geauxrouge.com. If you want to have on-demand episodes, if you're like, hey, I like this episode and I want to see more, you can go to our website and watch episodes there. You can go to the Talk 107.3 website, talk1073.com. And watch there. You can also go to the Haldane. Did you know that we have a YouTube channel? We got a YouTube channel. I like it. So those are the ways we can share. Certainly consider giving to the arts. I'm glad we had an arts episode today. Next week, we will have something new and fresh. With your help, I will try to endeavor to get the topics you want on here. info@GauxRouge.com. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's about it for this episode. You're listening to Franz Borkart. Special thanks to Brian Haldane for being on Master Controls. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, Facebook. Y'all have a great, safe week. Thank you guys for joining us, and get out there and support the arts.